Hey everyone, SlaveToTheGames here with part 1 of the Cyberpunk 2077 full in-depth explanation series where I go over everything, and I mean everything, about and surrounding the game itself up to release. Grab a drink and something to eat because this is a big one. As of right now, I've gone over 70 articles, a few forums, watched the Cyberpunk 2077 videos the company provided, and decided to skip right over other YouTuber videos. If you find out more in the forums, sites, and other YouTubers' videos, etc. that is not, and I repeat, that is not in this video or my other ones, please share that information in a comment below. My goal is that you learn at least 3 things from each video in this format that I make. Don't forget, if you enjoy the video, the info I share, or if you just want to support me, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, drop in my Discord community below, and maybe, just maybe, click that Patreon link to that extra mile that you want to possibly go in supporting me in what I do. Once again, thanks for stopping by, and let's dive right in. The first thing we're going to be going over in this video is the story. In Cyberpunk 2077, you play as V, a mercenary outlaw going after a one-of-a-kind implant that is the key to immortality. Over the course of the story, that biochip will be implanted into V against your will. Also, after the biochip is implanted, you start being haunted by a digital hologram of Johnny Silverhand, who has long since been believed dead. Unraveling the mystery of the chip and Johnny will be a large part of the plot. Cyberpunk 2077 takes place in, you guessed it, the year 2077. In a spiraling metropolis called the Night City, you take on the role of a fully voiced, streetwise person. You get missions from both people called fixers, or sort of brokers for mercenaries such as yourself, as well as through stuff you just see around the world as you go. You'll be working your way up to the career ladder to become a criminal and take on the gangs that are flooding the city in what's essentially a massive war zone. There will be some differences in how the story plays out, depending on your body type and life path. Cyberpunk will deal with issues of both transhumanism as well as big corporations equally. The Night City founder is Richard Knight. The street gangs and megacorps will do all they can to keep people down in this game and in this story. The streets of Cyberpunk will be filthy, poverty-stricken hellholes with the rich presiding over it all in their ivory towers. As well as coping with rampaging madmen, many of the poor are addicted to a new drug called the brain dance, which allows them to experience the emotions and stimuli of another person. For just a few hours, you can be rich, successful, and popular with your preferred gender. Because brain dances aren't live streamed, viewers can experience any moment in another person's life, living it as if it were real. Most of these experiences are tailored by mega corporations, with brain dances sold to the populace as a form of entertainment. There are also brain dances created on the black market, obtained illicitly, that offer much darker dreams, such as without consent. A user connected to V's chip or your chip can see everything that a person does and everything that's happened to their body and brain. The belief that humanity can transcend its current mental and physical form with the help of technology is going to be a huge plotline or background throughout the entire game. Cyberpsychosis will be a part of the world and story, but CDPR can't say how it will affect you, the player. There will be multiple Cyberpunk 2077 endings, and the game will feature 50 to 60 hours of gameplay that's said to be full of impactful decisions, but we'll just have to see. In Cyberpunk 2077, in the words of Mike Pondsmith, it's not about saving the world, it's about saving yourself. And now we're moving on to dialogue, choices, and morality. Now, you have dialogue options, but the character says their own version of them, not a word-for-word repeat of the line you chose. The path you end up on is generally dictated by your approach to quests, the way you engage in combat, and the dialogue options you choose. While not 100% certain, all dialogue appears to happen in real time. You can continue moving and looking around, but when you focus the camera back on the character you're speaking to, dialogue options appear on the screen. There are fixed scripted dialogue options for your responses when speaking with NPCs, as well as other dialogue options that open up based on context and the unique aspects of your character. Extra skill in engineering, for example, can lead to unique dialogue options about mechanical issues. A higher body stat can open up new dialogue to intimidate NPCs. Having a street kid backstory can also lead to unique dialogue in dealing with gangs. Investigating side objectives may give you an edge in a more important conversation while helping you gain leverage over another character during a negotiation. appreciation. This means the actions you've taken are frequently recognized and brought to the surface. Choices are arranged in a vertical list with colored dialogue options appearing, advancing the plot of the conversation, and white ones offering opportunities for conversational depth and flavor. There appears to be no indication within the dialogue options as to how successful a particular dialogue choice will be. Your apartment will evolve and change depending on the paths that you, the players, take when playing the game, and it'll feature options within it for customization and expression, though what they are has not yet been confirmed. There, you, or V, has your own armory, kitchen, a place to watch brain dances, sleep, and, well, you can get dressed there, and more. It has been revealed that there will only be one apartment for you. More than that is just rumors right now, as I have heard that you could apparently get other ones, but I have not confirmed that right now, and it seems to be confirmed that you can only have one. Cyberpunk 2077 features an interactive scene system in which you can move around freely during discussions, commenting on various objects in the environment to prompt new responses from NPCs. Apparently, NPCs will even react to the clothes on your back in some cases. Stats like cool, tech, body, and etc. will at times influence dialogue options. Drugs can also be used in social contexts. For example, if a gang member offers you a hit of his inhaler, like in the demo, choosing whether or not to accept it could actually have consequences. Moving on, we're on missions and quests. There are 4 different types of quests in Cyberpunk 2077. Main quests, side quests, street stories, and minor quests. Main quests are the ones players may have to play to get to the end of the story. However, it's a non-linear game, so not all main quests are always required. Side quests can be as large or even bigger than a main quest, or just very short. Sometimes they also have a specific purpose, like introducing a new theme to the game, or telling the story of a specific community or location or person. These side quests can continue the story of a main quest, or even set up a new branch in the main storyline. Characters you only meet in a side quest can then suddenly show up later in the main story, or sometimes a small quest can turn into something much bigger and then change the whole main story of the game. Cyberpunk 2077 will have around 75 handcrafted street stories. Finally, minor quests, which is just a term for short or smaller side quests. Sometimes they can just be a few minutes long, but they all should tell an interesting story nevertheless. The street stories are like little quests. There's story, but there's not advanced cinematic storytelling sequences as much. They're a way to explore the world and level up your character. They're all custom done, but there's nothing that's like procedurally generated. There are set templates that the devs can use and do use, but each one is customized to make them feel unique. Cyberpunk 2077's classless system has an impact on the way players can interact with the game's missions. The skills give you more, as an example, 3 to 5 in some cases, ways to have or to solve a quest or challenges within a quest. Even if you're tasked with escorting an individual and that person dies, the world is still going to go on the same. There is no game over unless you die. You will have some big choices to make throughout the game. There's also a system to help the player know when missions contain an element of urgency. It's subtle, telegraphing to the player, right now you shouldn't get too distracted, because if you do, there will be consequences to it. Also, other times the players should know they are given space for slower exploration, because nobody's in danger. CDPR always had this rule in the main storyline: never fail the quest based on choices. Those things are outcomes. The only way to fail is if the player dies. If it's a side mission, the player can fail, but that failure has an outcome. If you were supposed to escort someone and they died, it has consequences, not just a game over screen. In some quests, you will be by yourself. In some, you will have one person like Jackie Wells, or even a whole group. And in other quests, you might be alone or with someone depending on your choices. The more street cred V gains around the city, or you, the higher quality job offers you will receive. You can get gear as quest rewards, and some quests are even built around trying to get specific items of gear. You also have 2 types of XP, the core XP and the street cred. The former is earned by completing main missions, but you will only build street cred by completing side missions. You can then spend your special experience points to access new vendors and fixers, a special type of quest giver, and you can also boost your street cred with Cyberpunk 2077 gear, which includes designer clothing that will grant you elemental defense stats. One of the biggest areas that I'm looking forward to is the romance. There is romance options in the game, both in terms of one-night stands and longer-term relationships. And yes, there's full frontal nudity and major swearing, guys. The romances are also affected. Not all characters are bisexual. Romances will unfurl like they did in The Witcher 3 and will have their own plot lines, LGBTQ relationship options. You can even visit brothels. The game does not treat romances as something stat-based that you need to level up to unlock. Rather, it is a narrative situation where who you are and how you interact with the NPCs determines whether they like you or not. One thing I saw actually adding to this is that the whole there will be big choices, this also applies in the romance section. I don't know if this hinting at the fact that either one or multiple romanceable options will actually be able to die, but I am going to heavily believe that that is the case. You may even have to choose between doing a certain mission, obtaining a certain information. Basically, I think you're gonna have to, at one point, choose between the person you care about in the game and something else, or choose who you gotta save, etc. Something along the lines of that. I do think your romanceable option will be tied to the major plot or a major moment in the game that's going to affect you. And now we've reached gangs. Each of Night City's districts have their own distinct look and style and power players. City Center is run by the corporate giants like Arasaka, Militech, and Orbital Air. Arasaka specializes in protective services and the distribution of their Japanese-made products throughout North America. Over the years, it has developed a dark reputation as a corporation that is to be feared, and one of which covers its tracks using cyber assassins, an army of lawyers, as well as an alleged connection to the Yakuza. Militech, on the other hand, is an arms dealer based on the eastern US. Working closely with police and military forces, it has substantially contributed to civilian security systems. It's a powerhouse manufacturer of high-grade military technology, from simple firearms to heavily armored combat vehicles. Other major players operate in the city too, like Trauma Team International. Being a corporation operating in the US, Canada, and parts of Europe, Trauma Teams can be called by calling 911 on any phone, and can trace a call to the phone. You are billed immediately when you call, and the charges continue until you arrive at the hospital. The Trauma Team is composed of paramedics expertly trained in combat, who will go to any length to deliver their clients from harm. Those wealthy enough to afford a Trauma Team medical plan receive a card and biochip implant. When the chip recognizes a medical problem in a client's system, it immediately informs the Trauma Team, who rushes to the scene to stabilize and extract the patient. Rain or shine, war zone or picnic. The streets are patrolled by the Night City Police Department, who don't react lightly to people stepping out of the line, and whose cybernetic enhancements and enhanced weaponry make them a formidable force to take on. Police won't intervene when they see you committing some smaller crimes, like for example beating up some random dude on the street, because they treat it as just an everyday occurrence in the Night City. But if they see you committing more extreme crimes, like pulling a gun out and shooting bystanders or driving through them with your car, they will terminate with an extreme prejudice. If you end up in a confrontation with the law, your options are to run away, fight them and then run away, or fight them, and then die. There are also less professional security powers in the city. In some parts of the city, gangs are the true power on the streets. It's a dark, dangerous world, and some people can't or don't want to make it in the megacorps. Still, those people still have the human need to seek identity and security. It touches upon a universal feeling we all have, the need to belong to a group. Some people gravitate towards gangs. The gangs of Night City we know about include Maelstrom, the Voodoo Boys, the Animals, the Valentinos, and the Lizzies. They each have their own distinct style, turf, and background. There are many factions, groups, and gangs in Night City. We will be able to work for many of the factions, but we won't be permanently joining any of them. Onto the map and world, guys. You have your own apartment, as I've said, or at least I believe I've said, which acts as your base. Here, you can equip and prep things like your attire, your weapons, and even go through your emails. It's also where you bring back your romanceable partners or your one-night stands. Night City is a fictional city based in an alternate future California. You're not just limited to the city, and it's very vertical. You can run over pedestrians like in GTA, but that's not really the aim of it or the point, and there is consequences. There's a day and night cycle and a weather system. On top of this, there's an emphasis on Night City being a place that hits you with a wall of culture. There are a bunch of things around the world that draw you into quests. One example was seeing a crime scene being reenacted by holograms as you walk by the law enforcement investigating. You are not, unfortunately, going to be able to enter every single building in the game, and there are no loading screens and no barriers to prevent you from moving around the city. There are 6 distinct areas to explore, or 6 districts. That is the city center, Watson, Westbrook, Haybrook, Pacifica, and Santo Domingo. City center is the city's beating heart and is luxurious owing to the number of corporations present there. Watson boasts a blend of Asian culture who inhabit the buildings of an old corporate giant. Next up is Westbrook, a tourist hub with sites like Japantown that cater to those who like to let loose a little. Haywood is the Latino district of Night City, a sprawling suburban area populated by those at the higher rungs of the social ladder. But there's a hidden gang problem here. Outside of the main city, you'll find the poorest and most dangerous district, and that's Pacifica. Cut off from much of Night City and plagued by gang violence from rival gangs, the Animals, and the Voodoo Boys. Finally, Santo Domingo represents Night City's power industrial area. Within at least some of the districts too are what are being called mega buildings. These vast structures are so large that they have their own microenvironments inside them. There are hundreds of buildings to enter and thousands of rooms to search through in this game. Players can leave Night City and just explore that area. This area is mostly sort of destroyed, basically after all the droughts and everything that happened in the 50 years from 2020 to 77. And you can explore that. There are specific quests prepared for that and open world content, so that's definitely covered. There is no random loot laying around that magically appears, rather it is strongly connected to the place and story. The items you find can also teach V something about areas that you fit in with. The items you can find also teach you or V something about the area you find it in, especially if you inspect the gear. You can purchase items at the many vendors selling items in Night City, from clothing to cyberware to weapons to food to software. These items not only frequently have different looks to them, but also have varying stats. Now we're finally moving on to the last subject, and before we get into that, I do have to mention this isn't the last subject of all the information I have gathered. This is the last subject for this part. There will be multiple parts, and I will continue going all the way up until release when I find information that I believe is new and should be added. As of right now, I do have a lot more information I have gathered and wrote down. It's just if I continued, this video would be a lot longer, and by that I mean too long that you guys probably wouldn't want to sit through. So I am going to separate them into parts. As of right now, I have spent, as I said in the beginning, over 30 hours looking through articles and forums, and I have over 30 hours of articles and forums of information just sitting here, just waiting for me to put together. So thank you guys for watching this. I really hope you're enjoying it, and we're gonna go right into the last part before I let you guys go, and then hopefully look forward to the next part, which will be out as soon as possible. Once again, the last part, if I did not already say that, I think I did. Maybe I didn't. Anyways, the last part is you, the player. The player character's name is fixed as the letter V. Other characters perceive yours or V's sex through your choice of the male-sounding voice or the female-sounding voice. You can add a forename and a surname for V. You choose your body type and customize things like your clothing, tattoos, eye shape, eye color, nose, ears, mouth, jaw, beard, surface wiring, hairstyle, eye mods, skin mods, bodily scars, and finally skin tone, all through presets. However, you may not be able to change the bone structure of the character, and I'm pretty sure you're actually not going to be, as it seems to be a fixed part. There is no character class. However, the system is fluid, letting you choose aspects of, let's say, the solo combat class, techie equipment class, or netrunner plugging into the network and hacking enemies and so on class. So instead of having to choose from a specific class or one of those classes, you are now able to choose between all of them. Build how you want your character to be, thereby creating hybrid classes, or let's just call it classless, if you will. You can put points into various attributes such as strength, constitution, intelligence, and reflexes. You can modify yourself in various ways. Ripper doctors are found around the city, and they provide both illegal and illegal augmentations. Examples include an optical scanner for your eye that lets you zoom in on things and analyze objects to find out their threat level, gang affiliation, track enemies through objects, and more, and a weapon grip that's grafted into your own hand that lets you see a gun's ammo count, alternate fire modes, and gain additional damage. Nomad, Corpo, or a Street Kid are the 3 starting backgrounds, otherwise called life paths. Street Kid, they say if you want to understand the streets, you gotta live them. Gangs, fixers, dolls, small-time pushers. This version of V was raised by them all. Down there, the law of the jungle dictates the weakest serves the strong. The only law in Night City that you or V has yet to break. Nomad, roaming the Badlands, looting scrapyards, raiding fuel depots. Life on the road was never easy, but growing up the Nomad clan has its perks: honesty, integrity, and a love of freedom. Qualities only a few in Night City possess, and no amount of money can apparently buy. Or can it? And finally, the corporate. Few leave the corporate world with their lives. Fewer still with their souls intact. You've been there, you've bent the rules, exploited secrets, and weaponized information. There's no such thing as a fair game here. Only winners and losers. Each of the life paths have different starting locations, quest lines, background, and equipment that are strongly connected with their origin story. Characters from different life paths know different characters. The character will also be entirely in the nude when creating. Apparently, you'll come across instances where the nudity is pretty graphic. The nudity is also a vital part of the cyberware body modification that plenty of NPCs, including you, go through in Night City, adding layers to the authentic cyberpunk aesthetic. And that's all, folks. This video is over, and with that comes my last time to shamelessly self-promote liking and subscribing to my channel, joining my Discord with the link below, and possibly walking that extra mile and showing me just how much more you want to support me and what I do, becoming a Patreon member of any tier. Thank you all for watching. I hope you not only enjoyed this video, but learned something as well. Remember, I stream every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and with that, I hope you're looking forward to the future parts that are coming out, because I promise you there will be more. And like I said, I have a ton of information that I need to actually put into video and then release for you guys to listen to. And with that, guys, I'll catch you later. I'll catch you guys on my next release or my stream. Thanks for watching.